Now, there's a lot of talk in Washington about Obama as a dictator, finally. It's been a long time coming, but it is now out in the open, and you can dismiss a lot of this as just partisan politics. We see that Cruz, however, is making some pretty good points. He said that the Obamacare law says that big business doesn't get an exemption. The president just waved his hand and said, I'm granting them an exemption. Ignore that part of the law. I don't want to enforce it. And we've seen other congressmen point out that he's doing the same thing with immigration laws. He's doing the same thing with the laws that forbid lying to Congress, just letting James Clapper go. But this is something that's being talked about by law professors as well. We've got Jonathan Turley saying that Obama has become the very danger that the Constitution was designed to avoid, and that is the concentration of power in a single branch. But the left is not pushing back against these labels as Obama being a dictator. In fact, we see that the progressive branch of the Democrats are actually pushing him to be more like a dictator. We've got Congressman Keith Ellison and fellow progressives demanding that Obama set the minimum wage by fiat.
We in Congress will try to raise the minimum wage. We got opponents on the other side of the aisle who say that there shouldn't be no minimum wage. So we are in difficulty fighting these guys, but we know at the executive level, an executive order can change the situation. We demand it right now. Mr. President, sign the executive order.
Sign the executive order! Sign the executive order! Sign the executive order!
Well, there you hear the crowd of progressives chanting, sign the executive order, sign the executive order. In other words, rule by fiat, rule as a dictator. And while they're pretending to be the friend of the working poor, they are costing them their hours and in many cases their jobs through the Obamacare mandates, the hidden costs that the working poor may not see. They're going to hand them bigger salaries just in terms of the number of pieces of paper that they get without actually getting any increase in purchasing price because of inflation. That's what the government has been doing. That's why they're hurting at the bottom scale, hurting at the minimum wages because of the inflation from the Federal Reserve. And it is something where they're going to push essentially $27 billion in new gas taxes is what the Democrats are talking about. At the same time, they're talking about helping the working poor. They're going to nearly double the federal gas taxes. And then, of course, there's the super secret Trans-Pacific Partnership, which is going to complete the gutting of the economy, transferring even more wealth, even more power to this neo-feudal 1% of the 1%. So all this is being done behind the scenes while they're pretending to be the friend of the working poor. Now, Larry Pinckney breaks this down on an article on InfoWars today. Barack Obama's de facto totalitarian nation. He said the fact is that totalitarianism and fascism, in the words of Huey P. Long, have already incrementally come to America, not only wrapped in an American flag via false patriotism and corporate hegemony, but also aided and abetted by unprincipled and hypocritical gatekeepers who masquerade as so-called progressives. That's right, progressives like Keith Ellison, who no longer believe in a democratic republic and who want their president to enact their agenda by dictates as a dictator. We'll be right back.